Can I please ask the commissioners to all check in? Commissioner Fisher, Commissioner Healy. Okay, would the clerk do a roll call, please?
1 presiding, 10 present, 1 absent.
Okay, please let the record reflect that Commissioner Anderson is excused from tonight's meeting. Moving on to the prayer and the pledge, I would ask Commissioner Walker to lead us in that. Moving on the agenda, I'll move to public comment on any items that are on tonight's agenda. If there's a member of the public that would like to speak on any item that is on tonight's agenda, now would be the time to do so. I would ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less, and I do have the timer up here to indicate that. If there's any member of the public, now would be your opportunity. Okay. Seeing none, I'll move on to report of the chair. The one thing that I have to report is Mike Smith from the Montana Standard contacted me today, and they are looking for updated photos of the commissioners. And so they are going to have a photographer come up to the council floor next on September 10th before the meeting. If the commissioner is willing to, they will take your picture and you will have a new photograph of yourself. So I just wanted to announce that they will be up here to take pictures if you are willing and able to do so. Moving on to section 1, bid openings, public hearings, and/or presentations. The presentation for tonight, communication number 2025-386, Julie Bushmaker, Butte-Silver Bow Public Library Chairperson, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a presentation on August 27th, 2025 to have Steph Johnson, Butte-Silver Bow Library Director, give an update on the annual report for the Butte-Silver Bow Public Library. They did ask that we move this presentation to be September the 24th. So that presentation will not be happening tonight, but we will add it to a future agenda on the 24th of September. Moving on to public hearings, we do have 3 of them. These are a continuation that we've had the last several weeks. They are number 1, communication 2025-370, Karen Hassler, or Finance and Budget Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a presentation on August 6, 2025, agenda to make a presentation on the fiscal year 2026 budget. I would ask the county attorney if we did have publications for these public hearings.
Chairman Morgan, yes, we had proof of publication.
Okay, so that is for communication number 370, 371, and 372. So at this time, I will open the public hearing unless there's a staff report update from Ms. Hassler on this communication.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. Members of council, for the record, I'm Karen Hassler, Finance and Budget Director for Butte-Silver Bow. No real report. I do have some updated amendments to the budget along with the resource and requirement schedule that we can discuss later. But as far as the public hearing goes, we're still discussing the Metro sewer proposed increase of 3%. This evening, as well as the landfill solid waste collection fee increase of 20%.
Okay, thank you. So at this time, unless there's any questions, I would ask for any proponents on communication 370. Second call for proponents. Third and final call for proponents. If you'd please state your name and address for the record.
Reddy Frost, 2000 Roberts Avenue. I am a proponent of this. Thank you.
Thank you. Third and final call for the proponents. Seeing none, I'll ask for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. I'll continue to leave the public hearing of 2025-370 open. Moving on to communication 2025-371, Karen Hassler, Finance and Budget Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing to establish the user rate for Metro Sewer. The public hearing will begin on August 13th, 2025, and be continued until the Council of Commissioners sets a date to adopt the fiscal year 2026 final budget to fix the rate. Unless there's a staff report, I would move right into any proponents. Is there any second call for proponents?
Reddy Frost, 2000 Roberts Avenue. I am a proponent of a public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you. Third and final call for proponents. All right, I will move on to opponents. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak in opposition of 25-371, now would be your time. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. Seeing none, I'll continue to leave the public hearing open for 2025-371. Communication 2025-372, Karen Hassler, Finance and Budget Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing on August 13th, 2025 to discuss a rate increase for the solid waste collection district fees to cover the cost of contracted services with McGree Corporation. Unless there's a staff report or questions from the commissioners, I would move on to proponents. Please state your name and address for the record.
Reddy Frost, 2000 Roberts Avenue. I am also a proponent of this public hearing coming to fruition. Thank you.
Okay, second call for proponents. Third and final call for proponents. All right, I'll move on to opponents. If there's any member of the public that would like to speak in opposition to communication 25-372, now would be your opportunity. I would ask for opponents. First call for opponents. Second call for opponents. Third and final call for opponents. I'll continue to leave the public hearing for communication 2025-372 open. Moving on to section 2, communications. Communication number 1, 2025-249. Patty and Chris Solomonson requesting Council of Commissioners approval to purchase a portion of land owned by Butte-Silver Bow, which is adjacent to their property located at 17 Tullamore Street. I do know this communication was discussed at the Land Sales Committee, but we are still waiting for their report back to this body. So we'll continue to hold this in abeyance pending that recommendation coming forth. Number 2, communication 2025-318. Corey Biggers, 65 Orofino Gulch Road, Butte, Montana, requesting Council of Commissioners to approve the purchased land owned by Butte-Silver Bow north of Orofino Road and east of Browns Gulch Road. The primary goal of acquiring the property would be to fence it off and use for livestock and spray and treat the property to control noxious weeds that are present. As you will recall, we did take action on this communication last week, but being that this is a communication with a number, we still have to address it. And so at this time, I would just ask that we note communication 25-318, place on file and cross-reference with 25-424. Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. At this time, I'd like to make a motion to note and place on file communication number 2025-318 and cross-reference with communication number 2025-424.
Okay, there's been a motion made and seconded to note, place on file, and cross-reference with 25-424. Is there any member of the commission that has a question? All right, would everyone please vote? Okay, would anyone like to change their vote? Would the clerk please record the vote?
11 yea, 0 nay.
Okay, thank you. Motion passes. Number 3, communication 25-370, Karen Hassler, Finance and Budget Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a presentation on August 6, 2025 agenda to make a presentation on the fiscal year 2026 budget. We'll continue to hold this in abeyance pending the passage of the budget next week, unless there's a question from a commissioner. Commissioner Shea.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. For the benefit of the public, the Council of Commissioners intends to pass the budget at a special meeting on September 7th, or September 2nd at 5:30. So that will be publicly noticed, just for the benefit of the public.
Thank you, Commissioner Shea, for that reminder. That is correct. One thing to mention, the reason that it is on Tuesday on the 2nd is because we want to make sure that we allow proper time for the public and anybody else to comment on it. And by having that as a special meeting, that will just be the only item that is discussed that night. So just in full disclosure. So we'll continue to hold that in abeyance pending the passage of the budget. Number 4, Communication 2025-371, Karen Hassler, Finance and Budget Director, requesting Council Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing to establish the user rate for Metro Sewer. The public hearing will begin on August 13th, 2025, and be continued until the Council of Commissioners sets a date to adopt the fiscal year 26 final budget and fix the rate. We'll continue to hold that in abeyance pending the passage of the budget. Number 5, Communication 25-372, Karen Hassler, Finance and Budget Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing on August 13th, 2025 to discuss a rate increase for the solid waste collection district fees to cover the cost of contracted services with McGree Trucking. We'll continue to hold this in abeyance as the public hearings are still left open. Number 6, Communication 2025-373, Karen Hassler, Finance and Budget Director, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a public hearing on August 13th, 25 for the adoption of the fiscal year 26 budget and establish the user rates for stormwater system, solid waste disposal, and lighting in the fire hydrant district. The public hearing will be continued until the Council of Commissioners sets a date to adopt the fiscal year 2026 final budget and fix the rates and levies. We'll continue to hold this in abeyance as this public hearing is still left open until the passage of the budget. On the question, Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. I just noticed that we had some handouts on our desk, and I think it would be proper for maybe Director Hassler just to touch on it, all of them just quickly or briefly. Thank you.
Director Hassler.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan, members of council. On your desk this evening, there are 3 different documents. One is a continuation of the summary of amendments that we have to the fiscal year 2026 budget. For this week, new items to the budget, we have a couple of different departments that we have added or increased rent line items for as they are moving to our Armory Readiness Center complex. I think we're still waiting to determine a name for that complex, but the area that was formerly occupied by the Armory down on, I can't remember, where's it at? It's Gilman and Gilman. Some of the other bigger amendments that you'll see are we added $250,000 in a special budget for the water division related specifically to the potential water contamination issue that our community faced a couple of weeks ago. We set up this budget specifically to track overtime, employees' time, supplies, additional lab testing that would be required related to this event. And then just to make it easier for ourselves to seek reimbursement for those costs. So you'll see that there's $250,000 added to this for this specific budget, along with a revenue source to offset those additional costs. Due to the receipt of the school district's number of mills that they are levying for this year, this causes also some changes in our increment districts. And so once we have those levies, we go in and amend their budgets either up or down depending on what the receipt of the tax dollars will be. So we did see a decrease in our URA number 2 district of $576,632. We also see a decrease in our URA number 2 debt service fund of $97,265. So the debt service fund collects the increment dollars. It's responsible for paying the debt service on the parking garage, and any increment that is left over is then transferred to the URA fund. And so based on those tax dollars, it just is reducing the amount of the transfer to the URA fund in order to balance. We're also, the next large amendment that you see is just a transfer between line items, $181,000, $181,093 and $181,092 for our mobile crisis grant. Originally was budgeted under training and other purchase services. They have requested a change in that funding to move it to grants and donations for the year. No change in the dollar amount, it's just a change in the line item. We also have an additional $60,000 that is being transferred from the local option marijuana tax fund to the HART grant, which the HART grant helps fund some mental health services for people in our jails, in our detention center. This is also a contract that we have through CCCS. We have a grant through the state of Montana from the Department of Health and Human Services. That grant has been cut, but in order to continue to provide those mental health services, we are committing, or the Chief Executive Gallagher is committing $60,000 in local option marijuana tax funds to be transferred to that fund to help offset the costs, so we're not reducing our services. And the final adjustments that you see there are the reallocation of wages for an employee who he's a service worker, and his wages were allocated in one budget, and we realize that he's spending his time in other places just to make sure that we're matching our expenditures with our service. We just are reallocating his wages to the departments that he actually works in. So that's a summary of our amendments. The next file that you see it's still a preliminary resource and requirement schedule, but as of today, we have a balanced budget. Unless there are any other amendments that were to come before us in the next day or two. Right now, we have tax-supported funds. Our appropriation is $77,089,094. That is offset by $30,934,580 in non-tax revenue, and property tax revenue of $33,463,695, which equates to 370 mills. Those are just the tax-supported funds. On the second page, you'll see our enterprise funds. Appropriation of $38,013,810. Offset that, we have other revenues or grant revenues to support that of $12,325,303, and special assessments or user fees of $21,914,811. After that particular block, we have the rest of our special revenue funds that we call and other non-major enterprise funds. The total budget for fiscal year 2026 is $178,032,839, less intergovernmental and operating transfers of $10,126,958, for a total budget of $167,905,881. But again, this resource and requirement schedule shows our budget is fully in balance. So one of the other requirements of the budget is to show how our property taxes affect homes at different rates. The final page shows a home at $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 and $500,000. This is difficult this year because we're not comparing apples to apples, we're comparing apples to oranges because the taxable value from the prior year is not close to the taxable value of this year. That was presented last year without having very specific properties and knowing what the taxable value of a home was in the prior year. It's very difficult to tell somebody what their tax liability would be based on the number of mills that we are going to be required to balance the budget. We can provide that to people if they knew their taxable value from the prior year compared to this year, but for all of the residents in our community, there's no way for us to give it in this presentation or setting. So we just have the same value for last fiscal year to this fiscal year, and it shows the effect of the increase in mills on the property tax that will be levied. In each of these cases, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, and $500,000. There would be a tax decrease, a property tax decrease.
Okay, thank you, Director Hassler. Do any of the commissioners have any questions or follow-up? Commissioner Thatcher.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. Director Hassler, just a quick question on the amendments to the budget and the reimbursable fund that was created. Is that safe to say then that MRI is reimbursing Butte-Silver for the costs that they incurred, or is that what you're referring to, or what are you referring to?
Chief Executive Gallagher.
Chairman Morgan, Commissioner Thatcher. So that will be our intent as they're doing claims where, there's class action lawsuits and things. We will go forward and then file a claim like the other businesses and stuff that do that. And so that will be our intent with this.
Okay, follow-up, Commissioner Thatcher. Commissioner O'Neill.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. Karen, thank you always. My question too is on that raising it to the 250,000, seeking that this could happen again. I guess I just worry about that fact that it's not, this shouldn't never happen again, and hopefully it's fixed. I'm certain it will be. So wouldn't we just have an emergency fund? I know it's good to plan ahead, but 200, first question, where does the 250 come from in the budget, if you could answer me that? Because I know if I wanted $250,000 in the budget, right, I want to know where I can steal it from or raise it up for our street signs that I would like. That's another thing that I haven't pushed because I'm a wuss, I guess. But in theory, I'd like to know why we're planning for another catastrophe, and if there is obviously we had a fund where that came from. Why does it make sense to budget this now? Where does the 250 come from? If you could help me out on that, please.
Director Hassler.
Chairman Morgan, Commissioner O'Neill, we're able to add the budget authority because we're offsetting it with a revenue. So we're saying that our intention here is to be reimbursed for these costs. So anything that we pay out will be then reimbursed by Montana Resources. So the expense is matched by our revenue. So it doesn't impact the water division at any time.
Follow-up, Commissioner O'Neill. Nope, you're good. Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. Thank you, Karen. Appreciate all you do during this budget season and all year long. Could you give me a dollar value of a mill?
Director Hassler.
Chairman Morgan, Commissioner Fisher, the value of the mill this year is $91,928. And I believe it is listed at the top. That is the county-wide mill. It's listed at the top of this resource and requirement schedule. It says county. It starts off with $96,263,000 for real property centrally assessed, adds the personal property, and then backs off the increment districts. So the taxable valuation is $91,927,971. You divide that by 1,000 to get $91,928.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Commissioner O'Leary.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. Thank you, Director Hassler, for all the work you put in here. Just a clarification, I was looking at the economic development line item on this. They're at 1 mil. I see that the amount in this budget is 193, 111. Is that because we pushed last year's economic development into this year's fiscal year?
Director Hassler.
Chairman Morgan, Commissioner O'Leary, yes, that is correct. 101,183 was from fiscal year 25. That was pushed or carried forward into fiscal year 26. So if you take the 101,183 and add it to the value of 1 mil in this year, it is the 193,000.
Follow-up.
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. The second question, you mentioned the parking garage debt service. Wondering if you just know off the top of your head how many years left we have on that?
Director Hassler.
Oh, Chairman Morgan, Commissioner O'Leary, I don't know off the top of my head how many years there are remaining. I'm assuming it's probably a 20-year bond. I'm guessing at least 15 years. That's a guess.
I would probably get close. A good guess, probably. Okay. Any other follow-up? Okay. Anything, Director Hassler? No? All right. Thank you very much. We'll continue to hold Communication 2025-373 in abeyance pending the passage of the budget. Moving on to number 7, Communication 25-386, Julie Bushmaker, Butte-Silver Bow Public Library Chairperson, requesting Council of Commissioners authorization to schedule a presentation on August 27th, 2025, to have Steph Johnson, Butte-Silver Bow Library Director, give an update on the annual report of the Butte-Silver Bow Public Library. We'll continue to hold that in abeyance pending the September 24th date that they would like to present. Number 8, Communication 2025-394, David Hutchins, 529 South Colorado Street, Butte, Montana, requesting Council of Commissioners clarify to Butte-Silver Bow law enforcement that law-abiding citizens are permitted to recreate on the upper level of the parking garage, provided they do not interfere with normal operations and parking. I have not got an update from this. Commissioner Callahan, have you heard anything?
Thank you, Chairman Morgan. I talked to him today. He's still working on looking into insurance policy.
Okay, so we'll continue to hold that in abeyance pending the report back from Mr. Hutchins. Number 9, Communication 2025-427, Marlo and Nicole Carls, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, requesting Council of Commissioners to purchase land owned by Butte-Silver Bow located on the southeast corner of Maryland and 2nd. We would like to use it for our yard space for property we own at 1006 Maryland Avenue in Butte, Montana. We'll continue to hold that in abeyance pending a report from the Land Sales Committee. Next item on tonight's agenda is public comment on any public matter that's not on the agenda. Now would be the opportunity for any member of the public to speak on any item that's not on tonight's agenda. We do ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. Seeing none, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
There's been a motion made in a second and seconded to adjourn. Anything on the question? Commissioner Shea.
Just to remind everybody, we're reconvening judiciary.
Gotcha. Anything else on the question? All those in favor? All those opposed?